Hello there, welcome back to my channel Fit the Lit, where we fit literature to its rightful standard. So before we begin with stanza 2 explanation, the detailed explanation of stanza 2, I want you to analyze this picture carefully. What do you think this picture represents? Any thoughts? Alright, let me explain. So as you can see in this image, there is some small development that has been done in the village itself. So at the backdrop you can see that the forests are there. It is covered by, the whole land is covered by greenery, but this small development is perfectly made for making the village life more comfortable. So you can see this grocery shop, then the homes have been planned in such and such manner, and look at these signboards. Earlier these signboards were there without any fencing, but now the fencing has been put up. So what does this image indicate? That some developments have been made to the village, some developments have been done in the village lifestyle, so that the village people also feel satisfied, they also feel pacified, and they do not express any kind of frustration with the government policies. Because this is what the poet was talking about, or the farmers were talking about in stanza 1, that according to them, they are not able to have a full-fledged life, have a prosperous life, because the government policies are not up to the mark. They are not supporting the farmers. So now the government has made some arrangement, and now let us try to understand what is this arrangement. Okay, because stanza 2 is all about this arrangement. This picture is going to come handy whenever you want to imagine stanza 2, right? Let us begin with the explanation of stanza 2, line 1. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in. So, the official news channels are having this news all over the TV, and what is that news? That these pitiful kin, what does the phrase pitiful kin imply? Pitiful kin basically means that people who are just like us, who are just like our relatives, but their condition is so desperate that they are to be pitied. क्योंकि इतनी दयनीय स्थिति है that these people are a character of invoking sympathy in your hearts, right? So these pitiful kin are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the store. So the poet says that it is in the news that these people are to be bought out, क्योंकि land ले ली जाएगी, right? These people are to be bought out, that the government is aiming to buy the lands, the farming lands from them, and they are to be mercifully gathered in, and उनको collectively एक area दे दिया जाएगा, right? Because they want to develop bigger projects on their farmlands, तो उनसे वो lands ले ली जाएंगी, and of course उनको एक collective area दिया जाएगा, and in that collective area they have to live next to the theatre and the stores. So in the villages there will be some developments made, and what are the developments? कि उनको theatre दे दिए जाएंगे, they will be given with the stores as well. So sources of entertainment and sources of their basic needs fulfillment will be given. तो उनको ये सब चीज़ें दे दी जाएंगी, but on one condition कि उनको villages में ही रहना है, right? And also on the condition that they have to sell their lands, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore, while the greedy good doers and the beneficent beasts of prey swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits, and by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. Now these few lines are actually, this particular stanza is actually the stanza which is most quoted in the form of RTCs in CBSE question papers, board examinations. So try to understand them very carefully. So first of all, in the 3 lines we get to know the policy that the government is about to introduce. कि government एक new policy introduce करने वाली है, and what is that? कि for the development of villages वो क्या करने वाली है? Farmland लेगी, and of course they are going to open up some movie theaters or some kind of stores in the villages so that the village people do not have to suffer much, right? This is the main policy that the government has introduced, and this policy is aiming at development, is aiming at a situation where the village people won't have to think for themselves anymore, कि उनको अपने बारे में सोचना ही नहीं है, because the government is thinking for them, right? They do not have to work that much. Government ने एक ऐसी policy introduce कर दी है जहाँ पे कि farmers को अपने लिए कुछ सोचना ही नहीं है. The farmers will not have to think for themselves anymore. While the greedy good doers, now look at the phrase greedy good doers. So good doers are basically the people who act charitably or philanthropically. यानी कि आप गुड इंटेंशन से काम कर रहे हो, राइट? किसी का भला कर रहे हो, जैसे कि हम NGOs करते हैं, राइट? बट हियर द गुड डूअर्स आर ग्रीडी. नाउ लुक एट दिस काइंड ऑफ, दिस इज बेसिकली अ sarcastic comment कि when the government is making policies for the development of villages, they are portraying themselves as good doers. तो अपने आप को क्या दिखाना चाहते हैं कि वो तो बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं, कि they are doing everything by in order to benefit the farmer community. वो तो उन्हीं के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, right? But they are greedy. Now, can the good doers be greedy? क्या अगर आप किसी अच्छे इंटेंशन से काम कर रहे हो तो आप उसको greedy लेबल कर सकते हो? No, of course not. So what is this? Here Robert Frost is trying to sarcastically comment upon the intentions of the government, that while they portray themselves or they create a facade of them being good doers in the name of development, but in the name of development they are actually benefiting themselves. वो अपने आप का benefit करते हैं, and of course the channels are corruption, etc., etc., right? So all these things are there. So the government is portrayed to be a greedy good doer. The beneficent beasts of prey. Again, beneficent beasts of prey. Beasts of prey basically refers to predators. The people, the animals who hunt other animals or who hunt prey in order to survive. Okay. But here the predators are described as beneficent. Now beneficent basically means helpful. So can a predator be ever helpful to the prey? क्योंकि एक चेन हमारी बनी हुई है ना, सर्वाइवल चेन, कि प्रेडेटर्स एट द टॉप वो हंट करते हैं छोटे छोटे एनिमल्स को, जिसको कि हम प्रे कहते हैं, राइट? तो क्या शिकारी अपने शिकार के लिए कभी बेनिफिसेंट हो सकता है, कभी हेल्पफुल हो सकता है? ऑफ कोर्स नॉट. अगेन दिस इज ऑक्सीमोरॉन, right? The poetic device of oxymoron, that here the government is actually described as the beneficent beasts of prey. It is portraying itself as beneficent. वो अपने आप को as helpful portray करना चाह रही है, but it is actually a predator, right? So these two terms have come in CBSE board examination for RTC for explanation as 2 marker a lot, many times, numerous times. So if you have understood these two phrases, then it is very good for from your examination point of view, right? Let us move forward. So these greedy good doers and beneficent beasts of prey swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits. Again, they are trying to enforce benefits. What do you mean by enforce? किसी के ऊपर थोप देना, राइट? एनफोर्स, टू बेस्टो अनविलिंगली, फोर्सफुली, कि एकदम ही थोप दिया किसी पे, राइट? सो दे स्वॉर्म ओवर अगेन रिमाइंड्स अस ऑफ द बीज स्वॉर्मिंग, कि एकदम झुंड में आ जाती है ना बीज, वैसे एकदम झुंड में उनको बेनिफिट्स ही दिए चले जा रहे हैं. एंड व्हाई इज द गवर्नमेंट गिविंग देम बेनिफिट्स? अगेन टू टेक देयर लैंड्स, to develop their lands into something that the farmers do not want it, right? To something that is going to be entirely disruptive of the normal country life, कि country life को वो एकदम change कर देगा, कुछ ऐसी development government करने वाली है, right? So although the government is portraying these acts as done for the benefit of the farmers, but they are actually being greedy. They are actually being beasts of prey, right? They are actually portraying themselves as good doers and beneficent, but in reality they are greedy of the land that the farmers hold. And of course they are portrayed as predators who want to hunt down the farmers who are their prey. And they of course give a lot of benefits to these farmers so that they give up their lands. Swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits. Now wits basically means intelligence, right? Intelligence. So they give them so much benefits that the farmers are not even able to think, that they completely stop thinking, right? Look at these words, so that they won't have to think for themselves anymore. So the benefits are also calculated. Look at the terms, calculated, कि ऐसे उनको दिए जा रहे हैं benefits calculate करके इतने ज़्यादा manipulative तरीके से that they completely stop thinking rationally, right? They stop thinking rationally. And by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day, destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. Again, look at this line. By teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. That the rich and the powerful people teach the poor a better lifestyle. And what is that better lifestyle? The city lifestyle. And what is that city lifestyle? कि रात भर काम भी करना है तो वो भी करो. And रात भर भी जगे रहो. But this is not the kind of routine that people are supposed to follow in a countryside. क्योंकि countryside में according to their farming needs, the farmers have a set routine कि they have to rise up early in the morning and they have to go to bed early at night as well, ताकि वो सुबह सुबह अपनी crops को देख सकें, right? But here they are trying to teach them how to sleep, कि कब सोना चाहिए, and they are trying to teach them the city lifestyle. And while they do that, they destroy their sleeping at night the ancient way. कि वो उनका जो traditional method of और traditional routine है और traditional method of looking after their crops है उसको पूरा destroy कर रहे हैं, right? So they are basically, the government is trying to destroy the ancient pattern of farming, and they are trying to destroy the ancient routine of the farmers and enforce a kind of new lifestyle that is well suited to their needs. कि जैसा भी उनको चाहिए वो वैसा farmers करने लग जाए. Okay. Again, look at this image. Look at this image. This image should clarify it all, that the government has made some developments in the villages so that the village people should stay inside the village only, and they will be given with a few things here and there like the theater and the store, while the government asks only one thing. And what is that? That the land should be given to the government where they can make their projects as per their need. अगर उनको हाईवे निकालना है तो वहाँ से हाईवे निकाल लें, कुछ एक मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी का कुछ प्रोजेक्ट बनवाना है तो वो बनवाएं. सो दिस इज व्हाट द गवर्नमेंट वांट्स, राइट? लेट अस मूव फॉरवर्ड. Now the next stanza, the poet says, sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear the thought of so much childish longing in vain. The sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day almost open prayer. So again, the poet says that, or the narrator says that sometimes I can hardly bear, I can hardly tolerate, कि मैं एकदम bear नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ, right? Bear means to tolerate. कि मैं एकदम tolerate नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ the thought of so much childish longing in vain. In vain meaning fruitless or useless. So he says these farmers or these roadside stand owners are actually having a childish longing. Longing means desire and childish like बच्चे जैसी. तो उनकी एक ख्वाहिश है, एक innocent सी ख्वाहिश है, एक innocent सी desire है. And what is that naive desire that they have? What is that innocent desire that they have? That people should stop by, right? But here the poet says कि मैं वो एक चीज़ tolerate ही नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. I'm not able to tolerate this kind of desire from them because it is useless. क्योंकि customers तो आने ही नहीं वाले, right? So he says that I'm not able to tolerate this innocent desire of these farmers because anyhow this desire is going to be in vain. वो useless है because the customers will not turn up. The sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer. So he says that it is the disappointment because the customers are not coming, the city people are not waiting, or they are not stopping. It results into sadness. The roadside stand owner becomes sad. Lurks, मतलब यहाँ पे वो it is just hovering around, वो एकदम आसपास ही घूम रही है, right? The disappointment is lurking near the open window. So this particular roadside stand owner is having some disappointment. वो childish longing तो है, desire है, but when he sees that the day is about to end and no customers have turned up or nobody has stopped to buy his produce, then of course there is this sadness, this disappointment near this open window, near the roadside stand. And still he is waiting all day in almost open prayer, and still he is praying for some customers, and still he is praying for someone to stop. So you can see this roadside stand owner and roadside stand, and what is written over here? Fresh berries and please stop. So what is the wish, that what is the childish longing that is resulting in vain? वो क्या है innocent desire जो कि एकदम useless लग रही है अभी poet को? That is that people should stop. The customers, the city people should stop. So what is the open prayer that the farmers are making or that the roadside owners are making? For a squeal of brake, the sound of a stopping car, of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's price are. So very beautiful lines. Beautifully, the Robert Frost or the narrator here conveys that the farmers are openly praying for something. And what is that prayer that they are making? They are openly praying for the cars to wait, and they don't want all the cars to stop. They are openly praying for a squeal of brakes. Squeal of brakes, again the poetic device of onomatopoeia has been used, wherein the sound of the car stopping, whenever you apply brakes to a very high speeding car, there is a squeal or screeching sound that is made. So squeal of brakes. So the farmers are actually praying for that, for listening or for hearing that squeal of brakes, right? So this is what the farmers want, कि कोई एक कार रुक जाए. The sound of a stopping car. They want to hear that sound of a stopping car, and they don't want कि सारी cars रुक जाए. Of all the 1,000 selfish cars that pass, कि जो सारी cars जा रही हैं, thousands of cars, वो तो जाए, not an issue. But at least one should, one should stop. Of all those thousands of cars, at least one should stop, and they should be asking or they should be inquiring the farmers' prices. So this is what they want. They do not even want to sell their produce as such. They just want an equal opportunity. This is again very touching in the sense that the farmers are not even asking all the cars to stop, or they are not asking all the cars to buy their produce. They are just having this one open prayer and one open request. And what is that open request? That they should be given equal opportunity. At least people should be able to inquire their prices. They should have the opportunity to display their products at the similar level as the city shops does. Because of course the organic produce that the farmers are selling, they are selling at a very cheap price, at a very inexpensive prices as compared to the city prices. So they know that they are offering a very good deal, but at least they should have this equal opportunity wherein people are also curious about their prices. At least they should have that privilege. कि कस्टमर्स आए और पूछे तो सही प्राइसेस, राइट, एंड देन दे कैन डिसाइड कि वेदर टू बाय और नॉट. And one did stop, but only to plow up the grass, in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way where it was bound. So now finally there are two cars that stop, right? So the first car stops and it just plow up the grass. तो उसने क्या किया, बस ये ग्रास को और खराब कर दिया. So as you can see, this luxury car is actually taking a U-turn, and in taking a U-turn it has completely destroyed the grass. जो yard पे grass थी उसको खराब कर दिया, right? And this is the roadside stand. In using the yard to back and turn around, तो उसने U-turn लेने में वो पूरे grass का, पूरे yard का grass खराब कर दिया, right? And another to ask the way where it was bound. Then this was the first car that stops. Then this is the second car. Right, the second car that stops here you can see the same image, the roadside stand. The car has stopped in order to ask that where the way is bound, कि रास्ता किस तरफ जा रहा है. Maybe he was not sure of the direction in which he was going. तो उसने कार रोकी किस चीज़ के लिए, ये पूछने के लिए कि रास्ता कहाँ जा रहा है, right? So out of those 1,000 selfish cars, definitely the first one stops, and the first one is asking, is basically using the yard to make a U-turn, and it has completely destroyed the grass in that particular scene. And then secondly, the second car stops when the second person is asking for the direction, for the correct direction to the destination. Okay, then in the next stanza we have a third car waiting. We have also a third car stopping, and here the third car and another. So the third car also stops, and another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't. This grossly, they had none. Didn't it see? So here again the third car stops, and the third car is asking for a gallon of gas for the fuel. So of course for having the fuel you need to have license, you need to have a huge setup. So the narrator here is extremely irritated again. He again intervenes and he says very crossly, in a very irritated manner, in a very annoyed manner, that of course the roadside stand did not sell gas. Didn't it see? क्या वो देख नहीं पा रहा है कि यहाँ पे कहाँ पे उसको फ्यूल देगा वो, right? So overall the narrator here seems to be really annoyed by this idea that people, the farmers or the roadside stand owners, are having this one open prayer that at least one car should stop. And of course there are a few cars which are stopping, but these cars are not stopping to inquire the prices. Rather the first one stops in order to just take a U-turn and plow up the grass, and the second one stops in order to inquire the direction, that where the way was bound, कि सही direction में जा रहा है या नहीं. And of course the third one stops, but this third one is also not stopping for inquiring the farmers' prices. Rather he has stopped for looking for a gallon of gas. Let us now try to understand the last stanza. No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of spirit has never been found, or so the voice of the country seems to complain. So the poet here introduces a very relevant idea, and that is the country money. He says that all the money, country money basically means that the money that you get by indulging yourself in the professions that are available in the countryside, in the village side. तो जो हम लोग अर्न कर सकते हैं प्रॉफिट्स इन द कंट्री साइड प्रोफेशंस, वो कम रहते हैं. दिस इज द आइडिया दैट ही इज अबाउट टू इंट्रोड्यूस, दैट द कंट्री मनी, द मनी दैट यू गेट आफ्टर एंगेजिंग योरसेल्व्स इन द प्रोफेशंस दैट आर अवेलेबल इन द कंट्री साइड, the country scale of gain. So whatsoever activities you do in the country, in the city side, in the village side, or whatever scale of gain, whatever level of profit you are making, in farming. These are the major, this is the major profession, or in, let us say, dairy farming, or other things that you do in the village. So these are the professions that are generally available. और हमारा जो दूसरे type का होता है, that is your animal husbandry. All these professions, whatever level of profit you make by indulging yourself on the in all these professions, that requisite lift of spirit, happiness, amount of happiness has never been found. So he says, whatever you do in the countryside, whatever profession you indulge yourself in the countryside, the scale of gain, the level of profit is going to be less as compared to the city. So the required amount of happiness that the city money brings will never be found in the country money. Remember, he had told us that it is the farmer's dream to feel the city money in his hand, right? So why do they want to feel the city money? Because the country money is extremely less. The level of profit that you make inside the village, that is extremely less, and that is why we see migration from the countryside to the city people, right? To the city side. Or so the voice of the country seems to complain. So the poet says that whatever amount of gain you make in the countryside or the village side, that is very less as compared to the amount of spirit or amount of happiness needed in the villages. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. Again, in a very frustrated voice, in a very frustrated tone or irritated tone, he says that I think that it is going to be a big relief if you kill all these people directly. By, putting them out of their pain at one stroke basically means mass murder. He's talking about mass killing. He is so frustrated, so annoyed, so irritated by looking at the pitiable condition, by looking at the condition, the miserable condition, the pathetic condition of these farmers and these roadside stand owners, that he says कि why to make them go through pain each day. You should do one thing, and that is just kill them at one stroke. This is what he says कि इससे कम से कम it would be a great relief for them कि दिन ब दिन मरने से अच्छा है कि उनको एक ही बार मार दिया जाए. And then the next day, now these lines are somewhat neutral and positive, life affirming in that sense. So he says, and then the next day as I come back to the scene, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer me to put gently out of my pain. Sane means sanity, कि वो दोबारा एकदम normal frame of mind पे आया. So earlier he was so frustrated. Till here he was so frustrated after looking at the condition of these farmers that he thought that it is going to be a great relief कि उनको एक ही बार में मार दिया जाए, right? But the very next day he gets up with a sane mind. Sane mind मतलब वो normal, he is thinking normally, he is not feeling frustrated, he is not feeling annoyed, he is thinking normally, and then he says that I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So he says कि of course if I apply the same kind of solution to me, then I would be able to analyze, I would be able to see that this is not the solution. That killing someone, taking their life completely is not the solution. Rather the solution has to come from the overall scenario. सिर्फ एक बंदे को मार देने से या कम्युनिटी को मार देने से solution नहीं होगा. Rather there should be better solutions that should be given to the problem of the farmer community. So he says कि whenever when I'm thinking about the issue with a lot of sanity, with a lot of intelligence, with a lot of calm mind, then I come to the conclusion that it is not my place, it is not my right to put them out of their pain. कि जो प्रॉब्लम है उनकी उसका सॉल्यूशन या तो गवर्नमेंट करे जो कि रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, या तो वो खुद करे. इट इज़ नॉट माई प्लेस, इट इज़ नॉट माई राइट. ओके, सो दैट इज इट. Having understood the poem in detail, let us try to discuss the poetic devices that we have. So first of all, imagery. So yes, imagery has been used, and more specifically visual imagery, wherein vivid sensory images are used by the poet to paint the contrast between the city and the rural life. So yes, we can almost visualize the roadside stand near the edge of the road. So that is something that we label as imagery, visual imagery, right? Then the second poetic device that we have is symbolism. Several objects are symbolic in the sense that roadside stand represents the struggle of rural life and the attempt to earn a living. And the flower of city symbolizes the wealthy and privileged city dwellers who are the best and yet indifferent. So again, these words are symbolic कि रोड साइड स्टैंड जो है वो ओवरऑल स्ट्रगल दिखा रहा है किसकी, द फार्मर कम्युनिटी की और द रोड साइड स्टैंड ओनर्स की. देन द फ्लावर ऑफ सिटीज बेसिकली इम्प्लाइज द और इज सिम्बॉलिक ऑफ और इज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ द सिटी ड्वेलर्स, जो सिटी ड्वेलर्स रह रहे हैं एंड येट दे आर पासिंग बाय द रोड साइड स्टैंड एंड दे आर इनडिफरेंट, कि वो लोग नहीं सोच रहे हैं रोड साइड स्टैंड ओनर के बारे में बिल्कुल भी, राइट. Then of course the next set of poetic devices we have contrast. Of course in the first line itself we have the contrast, the poetic device of contrast being used, wherein the little new shed is contrasted with the old house, right? I had explained it in detail कि the house is described as old whereas the shed is described to be new. Again reinforces the fact that the roadside stand owner has invested a lot in this small business, right? Then contrast is a major poetic device in this poem between the rural poverty and urban wealth. Of course we see that the city people are moving in luxurious cars, right? The polished traffic, जो हमारा term था polished, right? Then the rural poverty is there. So yes, of course, between hope and hopelessness, the childish longing hope and I cannot bear it hopelessness, between natural simplicity of rural life and artificial luxury of cities. So the flower of cities, okay, and the natural simplicity of rural life, बहुत सारे ancient way of sleeping, so that all these terms represent a contrast between the rural and the urban life. Then we have personification. Remember that there was this line wherein the poet was saying that the roadside stand pathetically pled. So the roadside stand is pleading or requesting. तो ये क्या है? ये personification ही है. When the non-living things are given human attributes. In this poetic device, human nature or human characteristics are attributed to something non-human or abstract ideas. So a roadside stand that too pathetically pled. This is the line. So request is something that only human beings can make, but यहाँ पे कौन request कर रहा है? The roadside stand, which is impossible. So this is again personification. Let us move forward. Transferred epithet is one of the major poetic devices and somewhat new to you, right? So I've given a brief description of transferred epithet here. You can take a screenshot of the slide for your reference, but let me explain very briefly ki what is transferred epithet. Although I will be releasing my new series on poetic devices very soon, but let me just explain what is transferred epithet. So epithet basically implies adjective. Adjective and transferred meaning that transferred ये लगा लीजिए आप inappropriate. For example, अगर मैं बोलूँ कि nights कैसे हो सकती हैं? Nights. So nights can be it was a dark night, तब हो सकता है, right? It was a lengthy night, ठीक है, हो सकता है क्योंकि होती है एक्चुअल में, है ना. लेंदी नाइट हमारी विंटर सॉल्स्टिस में होती है, सो वो हो सकता है. बट अगर मैं बोलूँ स्लीपलेस नाइट, व्हाट इज दिस? कैन अ नाइट बी स्लीपलेस? नहीं हो सकती. तो मैंने क्या किया कि द पर्सन हु इज नॉट एबल टू स्लीप, उसका एडजेक्टिव उठा के मैंने नाइट को दे दिया. सो इनअप्रोप्रिएट एडजेक्टिव आई हैव यूज्ड विद समथिंग, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट, राइट? Transferred epithet is little known but often used figure of speech in which a modifier, usually an adjective, qualifies a noun other than the person or thing it actually is describing. In other words, epithet is transferred from a noun is meant to describe to another noun in the sentence. तो यहाँ पे sleepless तो मैं वो person को बोल रही हूँ ना, the person who was not able to sleep. बट मैंने वो किसके साथ लगा दिया? नाइट के साथ. तो एक तरीके से मैंने ये पर्सन का जो एडजेक्टिव था उसको ट्रांसफर कर दिया नाइट पे. सो दिस इज द पोएटिक डिवाइस ऑफ ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट. नाउ ट्रांसफर्ड एपिथेट इज यूज्ड ट्वाइस हियर, राइट? इज यूज्ड ट्वाइस इन द पोएम एंड दीज टू एग्जांपल्स आर गिवन हियर. The polished traffic and selfish cars. So here polished and selfish actually is used for the city dwellers. जो city में रहने वाले लोग हैं, for the city people, these two adjectives should be used. But वो किसके साथ use कर दिए गए हैं? Cars के साथ and traffic के साथ, right? So this is transferred epithet. Then finally we come to the last poetic device, and that is alliteration. Alliteration is the occurrence of the same consonant at the beginning of words, right? So we have greedy, good doers, right? Greedy, good doers. Then beneficent beasts of prey and pathetically played. So here G, B and P sounds have been repeated respectively. So of course alliteration has been used. So this brings us to the end of the lesson. I hope you enjoyed studying a roadside stand with me. If you have any doubts or if you need any clarifications, please write your doubt in the comment box and I will get back to you as early as possible. If you liked the video, like it, share it with your friends so that they can also benefit out of it, and subscribe to my channel Fit the Lit, where we fit literature to its rightful standard and we always try to remain lit.